Hey, strong people, Kalle Beck here, bringing you another episode of the Strong Talk podcast. Sorry, this episode is up slightly later than usual. I like to have it up at midnight on Tuesday. That way, when you wake up, it's all ready for you, and you can listen to it on your commute or doing other things. And this is playing in the background, but spent all weekend at the Mid-Atlantic Strongman Challenge over in North Carolina and flew home late last night. Didn't get into home till about 1 a.m. So it would have been kind of hard to get that up by midnight for you. But it was an awesome weekend. This week's guest is Kimberly Lawrance. She competed and got to actually hang out and know her a little better this weekend. She's funny. We got to do this again just to kind of really showcase how she is. But it's a good interview. This was shortly after the Arnold Pro Strongwoman, and where I believe she took 5th place, but we talk about all of that. She's had a fast rise in the sport and is an amazing athlete, and I think you'll enjoy it. North Carolina was a lot of fun this weekend. Got to hang out to people, got to hang out with people, got a lot of love for the Strong Talk podcast, people that listen, including other competitors. So I appreciate all of that. Appreciate everyone that came up and said hi and made it an amazing weekend. Lynn Morehouse promoted it. He runs Train Strongman and is Strongman Corporation state chair out there in North Carolina, and he puts on an amazing show. I promoted California's Strongest Woman last weekend, the weekend previous to this, and I was curious to see how he was going to manage all of these different weight classes. He had a pro men's division, pro strongman division, and amateur classes with pretty much every weight class, including masters, and with women. So there's 7 divisions or so, and people are going after their pro cards in 3 of the divisions and Arnold invites. So everyone there is competing for high stakes. And he did it. There's over 100 competitors, and it was just a really well-ran competition. But hopefully have Lynn on soon to talk about that and just what goes into putting on a contest, of that magnitude, and how Train Strongman's grown and everything, and some of the other guests, some of the other competitors who won this weekend, including Dave Daly, who I've been talking, and of course, I have Robert Oberst, my best friend. He took second by half a point, so we've been talking a lot before this contest about who do you think is going to do good and all this, and I picked Dave from the start. I guess I should have talked about that a little bit more to make it seem like I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking it, but I looked at the events, I looked at his training, how it's been looking, and I knew a lot of, some people would underestimate him, because he's technically not a heavyweight pro, but everything lined up and he was very consistent. So hope to have Dave on soon. Kristen Rhodes won. That was, this is, since the addition of an official pro strongwoman class, this is the second pro contest. She wasn't allowed to, didn't qualify, however you want to put it, for the first. We talk about that, I think, in this interview a bit. But anyways, she went to the second. Anyone could come, all comers, and she won. It was a good battle. The level that the women are lifting at right now is crazy. We're talking 160-pound dumbbells, 600 plus pound tire deadlifts, mid 300-pound kegs loaded over a high bar. It's incredible. Andrew Clayton set a world record for the 231 class on the dumbbell at 270 pounds, and they were going quick too. He got a minute rest before trying 280 after that, and 260 before it. So some incredible lifting. Talk about that a little bit more in depth in future episodes. But this week I am talking with Kimberly Lawrance, or better known as Kimmy. She's fun to watch compete this weekend. Really cool, and I think you'll enjoy this. I was listening to a bit of it, kind of editing some stuff, and I was like, I think I got to put this out now because there's so much keeps happening in the world of strongman, strongwoman that it's hard to keep up and keep all the information relevant and timely. So, gonna think on how to best do that in the future. Whether just it's a lot more work to not batch record the episodes, but I think either way the information is good and you get to learn a lot more about these athletes, and I hope you do. Appreciate everyone for listening to Strong Talk and supporting it. Go to store.startingstrongman for all of your strongman needs, and just share the show with your friends. If you want to follow Kimmy on social media, it's Pro Strongwoman Kimberly Lawrance and that's Lawrance, Law, on Facebook, and on Instagram it's at strongwoman _ Kimmy Lawrance. She does remote programming and diet consulting as well. You can inquire about that by emailing her at kimlawstrength@gmail.com. And thanks for listening. We'll have got some good guests already in the can. Well, that's been pre-recorded, like Andrew Triana is probably going to be next week. Dane Wallace as well, and start recording some of the winners and people that seem like they'd be a good fit to interview that from the Mid-Atlantic Strongman Challenge, including hopefully Lynn Mahoras, to talk about how to promote a successful show. So without me rambling on anymore, you can stop fast forwarding now and hitting that little 15-second button and listen to this week's guest, Kim. Welcome to the Strong Talk podcast. I am Kalle Beck, joined by Kimmy Lawrance. How are you doing today, Kim?
Hi, guys.
Hi. Yeah, and
I'm
of course,
doing well.
Yeah. Just off the Arnold, of course, you won the Arnold Amateur last year, and then went on, and you're told after the everyone was told after the fact that all the people that made day 2 got their pro cards, and it's the first one for pro strongman. So of course you're a pro strongwoman, and then got to compete in the Arnold right after that. So how was it competing in the first ever Arnold Pro Strongwoman?
It was such a great experience to be a part of. I mean, we all got to make history, and we're all helping grow the sport. That's all any of us really want at the end of the day. Like, yes, we want to win, but it's also pretty cool to be kind of founders in a way and hopefully encourage other people to join the sport and start as well.
Yeah, it's a good place. It's a good, you kind of are, the founders. Of course, there's, been, a bunch of strong women beforehand that have built it to the point where there is a pro division, but doing the first pro division, it's kind of setting that stage. And for everyone else that's looking to do it, or, amateur competitors, or even novice, or even you guys are used in the media a lot. Like there's that big old poster of you to promote the Florida show. So it's kind of, you end up being the face of what people look, and other people want to say, I can do that too. And, be like, you, has that even sunk in, or?
It sometimes it does, I guess. It's hard to understand sometimes, but then it's also like such a privilege and honor, I guess, because of course you're proud. I'm proud of what I've done, and it's hard to make sure that you stay in that humble line with everything, because you just, I don't know, you always have to watch what you say and make sure that you're gracious with others' feelings as well.
Yeah, it's I've definitely said the wrong thing plenty of times, and you hopefully you mature as you gain experience as an athlete and as a person. But yeah, you don't realize that, especially how everything is now with social media, that pretty much everything you say, people see it and they don't really know you as much, so it can be taken the wrong way, even though if you didn't intend that. I know that happens to me constantly, and that's one of the reasons why I like to do this with a longer form interview, because it's more like a conversation, and you can actually like kind of say what you mean with context.
Yeah, and you can explain more.
Exactly. And if people actually care to, listen to, us talk for an hour, that always blows my mind too. But yeah, so let's go back how you actually got into sport from following, your career a little bit, it seems like you did, were doing CrossFit and then fell into strongwoman. So how did that come about, where you learned about the sport and got into it?
Originally, I was training for the CrossFit Games, or that was the goal. And I had a team at CrossFit Wilmington, and they made it that year, but I was a backup. So I decided to try strongman just for fun because Lynn Morehouse was actually promoting the show, and he was a very persistent man. He would message me all the time and be like, "Please do the strongman show. I think you're going to do really good." And I was kind of extremely intimidated. I'm not exactly what you think of when you think of a strong man, strong woman sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and especially not then. I was only 145 pounds. So, I looked like a little frail thing, and these girls just were, I don't know. They were so much more experienced than I was. But he convinced me to do it, and I did it somehow. And one of my teammates from the gym at that time actually competed with me, and we ended up taking first and second. And then that's how everything kind of started. Lynn Morehouse's persistence is how my strongman journey started.
Yeah, I
Hands
totally,
down.
I totally understand where Lynn's coming from, because training and working at a CrossFit gym myself, you'd see, especially on the women's side, like you do really well. You could just tell, and you're like, it'd be cool to see it, and I get that, and I've had plenty of those same conversations, and most of them don't result in anything, but I think, I'm glad to see that you've done you gave in, I guess, and tried it out, and you took first at your first show, so you had immediate success. So it makes me kind of hate you in a way, just because.
Oh, you can't hate me.
No, I don't hate you. It just reminds me of how bad of an athlete I am compared to other people. Because I think it was like I didn't win my first show until I'd been doing the sport for 5-6 years. So I always hear these people that did their first show.
I kind of, honestly, it was an awkward situation for a little bit for me to understand, when I won that show, and then I won nationals right after, and then the Arnold I won right after, so it was 3 back to back to back, and it was very hard to of course I was extremely excited, but then part of me was like, man, yeah, I worked my ass off to do this, but these girls that I'm competing against have been aiming for this for years before I even knew this sport was around. So it was always very hard to just understand to a degree. It was awesome, but then it also makes everything 10 times more harder for the rest of my strongman career.
Yeah,
because you have that expectation and that taste in your mouth almost of victory, and you're just like, anything but that feels like such failure.
Yeah, you don't even get that time to grow in the sport. You're kind of right into the fire.
100%. Social media and in strongman.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, and so you did. So how long ago was this now that Lynn finally convinced you to do the show? When was that?
It'll be 2 years in May.
Yeah, so yeah, not even 2
years
years
in
now.
May is when he convinced me. Yeah, not even. I've still not even competed or used half of the strongman implements there are. I'm still so basic when it comes to this stuff. So, but it's fun. Who doesn't love to learn on the fly when it comes to strongman?
Yeah, at the highest level.
Of course.
Yeah. But it is interesting. So it's, within 2 years you win a local show, you won the nationals in the 160 class.
Yes.
That's how it worked. And then you got your invite from there. So the subclass, then win the whole thing at the Arnold Amateur, go on, kind of won the Jacksonville show.
Oy vey.
That whole deal, we'll save that for a little later. But,
oh gosh.
but, and then, then you go and then you're competing on a pro stage with, hundreds, thousands of people watching you against for the first ever in the first pro show. So that's like, that's definitely a quick, you better sink or swim like at every step. And,
That's how
you're
it
still
feels.
going.
That's how it feels. It feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders sometimes because of the standard you almost set for yourself.
Sure. And
it was great to be a part of it. That's for sure. But I mean, you could see when I was on stage, I would talk to whatever girl was right next to me, because most of us are really actually like good friends, or we do joke around a lot, and we would just make each other laugh. We're like, there's people watching, just laugh, smile. That's all we can do.
Yeah, and you have to remember to enjoy the moment. Of course, you're an athlete and you're competitive and you want to win, but you do have to enjoy the moment and realize it. So, after now, are you going to take a little break and give yourself some time to breathe in between after this whirlwind it's been?
It's been quite. Are you asking, am I taking a break?
Yeah. You have a show planned, or you can like have an off season here?
Well, I feel like after surgery, that was kind of my off season.
Sure.
I was I was out for so long. So now I'm very on the fence about the Charlotte show in Europa, or at the Europa with Lynn. Just because I want to do the Canada show so bad, and I want to be 100% healthy. I mean, going out and competing in front of this many people and not being 100%, I mean, it kind of kills someone like me inside. But I mean, of course, I'm honored to be a part of it, but then it's so hard because you feel like you're letting yourself down and your town, almost like your state, when you can't perform well and bring back the title. And I just want to be healthy enough to do my best and, lay it all on the floor and not feel like I left anything.
Yeah, understandable. I think, and that's something that people, when they're just watching, especially if it's a crowd at, such a public event like the Arnold, and if they see you struggle with something, they don't know, there's no, if the announcer isn't, they probably shouldn't be talking about injuries, while you're lifting, but it's, they don't know. They see, oh, this person did this many reps, this person did that many reps. Like, it's a game. You don't know how you got there. So it's hard to do. Plus, it costs so much money to travel to all these contests and the training time that you want to be able to put, display your skills the best of your ability. And, sometimes it takes, a little time off to do that. But going back to competing at the amateur Arnold's last year. It was a very close show, and I remember I interviewed you, for Flow Elite after, like, right after you won, and we talked, and you were so happy, and then like the next day on social media, I hear that you were in the hospital and you had a car crash. So like. And you had that accident. How was that?
It was hell. But I mean, it was probably the most disheartening moment. Well, no, that's an understatement nowadays. But sure. It was so heartbreaking that I finally felt like I had accomplished something and that I was in the right spot finally. And then on the way home, right before midnight, literally after hours receiving my trophy, my ex-boyfriend and we got hit by a drunk driver from behind, and we flipped in the car 2 or 3 times. Jesus. And the back seat that I was laying in was completely crushed in. I ended up breaking my nose, and I had a stress fracture in my foot, a lot of bruises. I had, of course, whiplash, and I mean, there was just so much blood everywhere, and it was hard. It was hard because I wanted to celebrate, but I couldn't even I've never been able to truly celebrate a victory ever.
Yeah.
And it sucked. it sucked really bad. I wanted to be able to go home to my gym and show them, they helped me get there, and look what I brought back, and I couldn't go back immediately. And then right when I got back, there were more things, of course, that came up, and a new ownership at the gym, and it was just one thing after another at that point. So, I mean, it was rough.
Yeah, I can't imagine this is, especially like you're saying, you have a goal to, do the CrossFit Games and go there and, accomplish something at, high level athletics, and then you win a world championship, which not many people can say they do. You find something that you excel in, and then just, you get, you said the car rolled, you get, everything just flips end over end, and it's just like, oh, you don't get that. It's like, it's like, you watch a movie and it's like, the fairy tale moment, then the credits roll, you don't see what happens next. It's kind of like that in a way. You think about it, like
it was. Oh, I don't have many other words other than it broke my heart a little bit.
But it shows how strong of your character is and everything, that you keep going and you push through that and do the next thing. Like even when the situations aren't what you'd want or optimal.
I've just started to realize that this sport, I'm such a little player in this sport, but if I can help play a big role and help get this sport maybe more media attention or Facebook attention, whatever, to help grow it, then that's what it's worth, and that's what I'll do. I want to help the sport grow. I want to help more females do this, even if it's kind of hard to get up and make sure that happens.
Yeah, and and like you said, you've met, like, all of you are you're joking around and having a fun time up on stage. So it's like strongman is really like a family at some point. Some of the stuff that goes on social media and people complain here and there, it wouldn't seem like it, but when it comes to competition and everyone's actually hanging out, it really is, and it's fun to be a part of something. And that's always been my goal, is to try to help more people get into it, because I feel like the sport gave me something, just having that thing to have something that drives me to keep pursuing getting better is important in life, I feel. And you're obviously doing that. So, but how did that accident affect your training? And then, because shortly after that, they announced that they're that you all got pro cards, and it's the first pro cards ever, and being new,
you had to go.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to go to the Jacksonville show. But how did it feel? Because I've been hearing since I got in the sport, and there's a lot of people that have been in it longer than me. Like, all the women are like, we want pro cards, and you look and you're like, they are at that level, and it finally happened. And what went through your mind when so I think that was announced a little bit before the actual contest, but when like after the fact you're awarded a pro card, did you understand what that all meant, or like what was your
after I received my pro card?
Yeah, because it wasn't given out, it wasn't said.
I think it was kind of not as to be honest, it was not as satisfying as I would have liked it to have been. And I kind of feel like I passed, or I skipped the line on a couple of people who deserved it prior to me, like Jill Mills, Kristen Rhodes, like Donna Moore, like those people who have been doing the sport quite some years. And I won the Arnold, yes, but if I wanted the pro card, I wanted to earn it then. Like, I wanted first place to earn it, because that was like the best goal, the best you could get. And I got text messages one day after dinner, and I was told I was a professional. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm kind of confused, but I mean, this is great that this is happening, but it's also very confusing. It happened overnight, it seems.
Sure. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and of course, I think they did award, roads and all that, the cards for the amateur, because it was for the heavyweights. If you had won in the past, you got one, but it gets a little bit more confusing from there. But I get what you're saying, is it would have been more like if you knew that was on the line going into the Arnold Amateur and you're gunning for it.
Yeah, like going into the competition, like, man, this is my goal. Like, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I get it. So on that same note, like, I know that's how it was going into this amateur, and I think, I could be wrong, at the rules meeting, it was announced that it was top 4 we're going to get it. So everyone that qualified for day 2. What are your thoughts on that? I feel like you kind of need to build up the pro ranks, and you need more bodies to start to build it up, because there's been people waiting in the wings. But do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's a great opportunity for the women and to help grow the pros quicker, I guess, the division quicker. But then I also look at how the men have it and how hard they have to fight and how hard they have to work for it. And I may not know, but to my knowledge right now, all Final Four don't get their pro cards, like maybe top 2 or the top 1. And so it just seems like it's a little different, but it's great that the sport's able to grow quicker.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Like, I could be wrong as well, but what I remember is, like, when they announced, like, the 231 men's pros, I think it was similar, where it was top 3 that first year, then they moved it down to first place. So I think it's staying fairly consistent there, because you can't have, like, the same 5 people doing every pro show.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Sure. So you train for you have the accident, you recover from that, or try to recover from that and get back to training. Something like that can be worse. Your body went through trauma, can be even worse than like a training injury. Then you go to world's the strongest woman in the world.
Oh.
we can skip over it. It's okay, but
I took 2 to 3 months off, or 2 months to 3 months after the Arnold, because after you have no surgery, you can't have a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you can't lift heavy.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of sleds or nothing. Worlds was it was interesting. What a great opportunity for all the women.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good way to put it. I covered it with, with Danny. I'm really not trying to be like to like we're making this sad or anything. I want to be, with the happy points, but I feel it's just that's kind of what the arc's been. If I look over what you've done in Strong Woman.
Yeah.
So
it seems like every time I go up, I get knocked down pretty far. But I keep going. World was extremely confusing at the end of the day, because when you see, in lamest terms, to someone who does not know the scoring and how it works and how points are divided, when I see, like, oh, if she wins 2 on one day, I win 2 on one day, in my eyes, I'm like, I guess we're even. And then if she wins 1 on one on day 2 and I win 1, I understand how that looks like we're even. And then the tiebreaker comes and then I win 1. So it was very confusing. But then after looking at how the scoring is done, I did understand it. It sucked to celebrate and then have everything happen right after. You saw.
Yeah, and
you saw the thread.
Yeah, I for better or worse, I see most everything. And it comes in, and I was telling you, the thing I took that upset me is when athletes were getting blame, right? And yeah,
it was pretty harsh to see some comments, and then have some fellow like competitors go and like the comments, because of course I was looking. I mean, I was devastated. Like when people commented, "Oh, how does it feel to walk around with a trophy you didn't deserve?" And of course, I wanted to reply and be like, "It is absolutely miserable. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
I want to switch back. Like I don't want it. If I didn't earn it, I don't want it. Like I want to earn it the right way." And it was harsh to see like which one of the competitors I had competed against in Florida went and liked those comments and stuff, as if, you know, like I had something to do with the score, or I had something to do with it. And that was really hard.
Well,
it was harsh.
Yeah, if you're an athlete, your job is to go out there. Here's the events, do as good as you can, and everything else is up to other people. You know, how it's calculated, and I think, you know, keeping track of scoring and stuff is good to have like a coach or a handler just to kind of keep an eye on that. That's something you shouldn't really be worrying yourself with as an athlete, in my opinion. Just because it's hard enough to go out there.
Yeah, and I need to be better about that in general. I need to start looking at my score. I need to be double checking videos and making sure that the times are, you know, relatively similar, stuff like that. I mean, I do need to be more aware of it, because I have been lucky to have best friends and old coaches there to do that. And I do need to take the self-initiative and do it. That is something that one of the posts did teach me.
Yeah, it's I found that just going to some of the shows with, you know, friends or whatever, they're pro, and you realize they're keeping track of all that. It's one of the differences. Like it's you know, they go out there with you know, with you know, with a tape and a ruler, and they check to make sure all the heights are the right. Like it's, you know, once it becomes a whole different. That's the difference between pro and amateur, I guess, where one of them at least. You know, there's more on the line.
The difference between first and second place.
Yeah, and that's this. You know, strongman's a game of milliseconds and you know, inches and one rep here. I don't think people realize sometimes how close things are. What's the difference between something like, you know, you winning the Arnold Amateur, or, you know, getting fifth and not making day two. It's not, a lot of the time it's not a big difference at all. You know, you know, it could be 0.2 points, and but, you know, so you get done with, you know, you get done with all that. I think did you have shoulder surgery afterwards?
Yeah, I actually I had a Bankart labrum tear. When I was doing the dumbbell on day 2, event 1, my shoulder dislocated and tore. And I mean, I competed and finished the event, but I had to get surgery, I think 2 weeks after the event, 3 weeks after the event, I believe. It was super quick. I mean, there was no avoiding surgery with the way the tear was. So I just had to get it as soon as possible and start training again for the Arnold, because I wasn't there. I mean, even if I had a 0 every single event at the pro show, there was no way I was missing that opportunity.
No, you can't.
Nope, it's something that you can never get back. It doesn't matter what you have going on. If you want to be a part of it, that was the day.
Yeah, I think, you'll never. It's the first one. It's that never happens again. You got to do it, and you got to make it happen somehow, some way. I know, like the first when I did the Arnold Amateur, and it was the first year they had it for lightweights. I was like top 10 qualified. I tied for 10th and won the tiebreaker to get it, like skin of my teeth. And then I go into train, and like 2 weeks into like my second training day, I get a hernia and have to get surgery. And like, so I was like, well, and people are like, are you still going to do it? I never had a doubt in my mind. And that's how important stuff like this is too. And I don't think a lot of people, you know, you obviously can understand that.
100%.
And, you know, looking back, like when you get a couple of years removed, I still don't regret it. Like if I was in the same position now, it'd probably be different because your life's different, but you know, it's something you work so hard for. You got to do it. So but I'm going to talk about your training, because I know you're a a trainer. You're obviously a good athlete. You're, professional strongwoman. So how do you structure your actual training and, and even training around injuries? But let's go with just like how you structure your actual training first.
I normally train about 2 to 4 hours, I would say, a day.
Oh, wow.
Normally, at least 6 to 7. I mean, at least guaranteed 5 days a week. Because whether I'm in there doing sleds, I can always be doing shoulder rehab, and there's always something you can be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have to go in and do something heavy and crazy, but you can always be doing something to help get better. And then I train my clients after. I have a couple remote clients, and that's been growing pretty rapidly, so that's awesome.
Awesome.
But so I do their training at the beginning of the month. But I train with my clients who have PT right after or before, and they have very flexible schedules. And then I go home and get ready, and then I go work at a bar from normally about 8 to 2, 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week. So I'm normally doing something, that's for sure.
You're definitely staying busy. Just one or two of those jobs is hard. So you train in the morning and you just kind of go into the gym and pretty much the first half of the day, it sounds like.
Yeah, I try to go in the gym around noon. I normally like to be there. If it was the perfect day, I'd go from 11 to 2:30 or 11 to 3. Because that's normally when a competition is. So I like to train at that hour, and I have that luxury right now, so I like to take advantage of it. Most of our events are morning or afternoon, so I feel like if you just get your body used to it, it kind of helps competition day.
Sure. So, but how do you actually split up your training? Like, when people, when you say you're in there for three hours or so, you're obviously not doing squats and deadlifts that whole time. You're doing some warm ups and, maybe some mobility. So what's like a weekly training split look like, and how you approach it, and even with your remote clients and everything that, you feel helps and led to this success?
Normally I work out. My heavy days are Monday and Wednesday, and speed days are Friday and either Saturday or Sunday. Mm-hmm. It depends on my night work schedule. And then on off days, I go in and I do sleds or UBE, but every single day, regardless if it's upper body, lower body, mobility, whatever, I always do sleds. I just believe in that a lot, especially after reading West Side or reading Louis Simmons stuff and Conjugate. It just seems like you can't go wrong, and you can never really do enough sleds. And then I do a lot of shoulder rehab, of course, right now every day. So that's partly why it takes so long in a gym, because you do have to take a couple minutes in between. And I mean, there's 100 different variations you can do, or of what you can do with a band to help your shoulder get more stable and more locked in. So I'll do that, and then I do a light ab variation before every workout, because you always need to have your abs activated. And I just like to have the blood going through. And then I'll do my heavy stuff, and I have a lot of accessory work almost every single day. My coach he's great. He looks at me and will be like, okay, this is what we need here, here, and here. You'll do this week, and this is the progression that you'll be making. So, I mean, I have a lot of interesting stuff that people wouldn't think of, but it helps. Sometimes it's very time consuming, but if you want to be the best, it does take time. It does take effort and fighting for it.
Yeah, when, events come down to that half a second here, then, the little things can end up being the difference. So, you follow basically a conjugate West Side style approach with
Yeah.
with the speed days and max effort days and upper lower, that whole deal.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what you say about doing the sled, and I think it could be hugely beneficial for a lot of people just for GPP alone, and it not being
Exactly.
in recovery. Just I feel like a lot of people just focus on everything being heavy and strongman, and they never look at all the other energy systems you need to have success in it. But yeah, if you have the time, and I think it can definitely help. So going into let's talk about the actual Arnold Pro Strongwoman, each event, and how that went. It looked like you started off with a heavy keg carry medley. I feel like watching it, you did pretty well. So how was the weekend for you, like the actual event by event?
Going into it, I had not actually hit any of the weights that I needed to. I hadn't actually practiced any of it because I just had to get healthy overall. So going into the kegs, I was extremely nervous that I wasn't going to be able to pick it up. But I ended up I do really well with that pressure and kind of having all those eyes looking at me, not, hoping that I don't want to disappoint them. So there's just a lot of motivation right then. And I just picked up the keg and I ended up going relatively quick and having a good time. I would have had a better time and put myself in a different placing had I not dropped the keg on the mat and placed it down instead. But that was one of the differences, slow down, hurry up. So I will remember that for next time, hands down. And I'm also going to get myself quicker and have more confidence under it. Because if I just get more confident under it, I'll be fine. But I just sometimes have no confidence right before.
Is that before mainly the first event where you have those jitters, or just in general?
Well, especially now, I would say, because of having surgery and everything.
Yeah.
I would say that's a little bit more of why I was so nervous. Normally, I walk into these things feeling pretty prepared, and I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to do. This time, I just walked in and I wanted to have a good time. I wanted to enjoy the friends I have, and I enjoyed my time for the most part, so I accomplished what I wanted, and I didn't zero on any event, so that's great.
Yeah, and that's definitely an accomplishment, especially considering the weights the pro strongmen were using. Like what was the keg was 220, it was like 215, 230 or
215 and 230, yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely not light, and you got to sprint with it, and then you got a 125-pound dumbbell, a 500-pound axle deadlift for reps. There's, these are weights that people would consider weren't even a possibility just a few years ago, and people are repping them out, and plus whatever the hell that hammer was.
Oh my gosh, that was a feeling hurter.
I haven't had a chance to actually talk. I watched that whole thing and I was just cringing, just watching people's, like, hoping no one's clavicle didn't separate during it. So then looking at your guys' faces. So imagine there's just it's like this cartoonishly big hammer, and it has if people didn't see it, it has like little notches up, and it kind of ratchets up, and you got to run into it and squat up like a lineman and get it into that next click. So it's not like a precise thing either, where you don't really know if it's clicked in. You know better than me. You're under it. So like, what are you thinking as you lift that thing up? Like, it was just, it looked horrible. Like I was like, oh, please don't make them do this. It was just,
the main thing I was thinking is, man, this sucker is heavy. That was the main thing I had going through my mind. But then I really just wanted to get one notch.
Sure.
And I didn't figure out I kind of figured it out at the very, very end, but it was too late. I was too fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
But I just needed to leverage myself at a better angle. But other than that, I mean, I actually really enjoyed that event because it did test our strength. That sucker killed us. Whether you did well or not, all of us were like, whew, my back feels good on that one. Like, whew, shake that one off real quick.
Yeah,
It was fun.
yeah, that's definitely. And what was cool about that event is it was so pretty much no way to train for it. I
Nope.
I think that's the same implement that the men used like back in like 2003 or something. I can't imagine two of those things ever being made, but I'm not sure. Um, so it's just like no one's seen it since, if it is the same one. So it was just one of those things where you got to figure it out on the fly, and that's something I feel is kind of missing from strongman, strongwomen in general. Is just those events where someone has to figure it out, and either you do or you don't, real quick.
Yeah, that was a do or die kind of moment, and I normally do really well in those moments. So I did not die. That was the main goal.
No, you did it. You clicked it, and that's not more than I think half of the people didn't. So that's going to help for points.
Yeah.
Um, how did then you go into that was the last event of day one, right? Or am I missing something here?
No, at 4 o'clock we did the stone of no. Yeah, at 4 o'clock
That's
we
right.
did the stone of steel.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool setup. Did they lower it from 10 stone series to 8? Is what happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, still, an 8
it
stone
was
series is still, that's insane.
yeah. I actually really enjoyed that event. This was the first time that I was not able to go down to Lynn's place and train with the stone of steel. So because I've not genuinely been able to pick up that type of stuff with surgery and coming back from it. So I had to wait as long as I could.
Mm-hmm.
But the setup was awesome, being on the main stage and the small stones. I think it's actually easier to do the stone or putting stone loading on the big stones. It was definitely different to have to learn that day how to pick it up because I never had really even touched the 20-inch, or I think it's a 20-inch.
Yeah, it's 17 and 20.
Yeah, and I mean it was fun. I definitely enjoyed it, but I need to go faster. I need to stop being so slow sometimes.
Well, it's kind of hard to be able to do it with that. Like you said, you're pretty much your training up to this was I need to be healthy enough to do the events, not and practicing them is gonna delay that.
It just tears me down too much.
Yeah, so you'll gain that confidence back once you get to touch the implements and as you recover. But it's just crazy because it's exactly how my experience was at the 2013 Arnold. Since I had the surgery just 15 weeks before, is I didn't even touch any of the implements. It was just how do I get healthy enough to then compete, and it's a different experience.
You go in with a different mindset.
Completely.
You know that your chance of winning is so slim to none, but you secretly hope you can pull it out, and there's just so many emotions when you walk into an event like that.
Yeah, I'll never forget that contest, and I think it's actually the best I ever did at a high level contest. Probably just because I was less beat up because I wasn't training the events. It's weird to think about.
That could be it.
Yeah, it's just it is a whole different feeling. You're kind of timid, and then you just got to go, and you're like, oh, we'll see what happens. But I have no doubt that you'll continue to improve, and you've definitely been faster and fast in the past and everything, and so it's just how it'll go. What was the last weight on those stones? Like 210-ish, or was it what was it heavier? I don't remember.
210 or 215. I am not quite sure. To be honest, I just kind of pick up whatever they put in front of me and try to just go with the flow 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to it is a good way to go, and especially when you haven't been able to train, you have no reference point what you're doing. So what's it really matter? You just
Nope.
have to go out and do it. Um,
Yep.
and then you go into circus dumbbell, and then
Oh,
you have a shoulder. You just had shoulder surgery,
yeah.
so
That event kind of broke my heart that day. It was so much fear going into that event because I didn't want to tear my left shoulder. I didn't want to have surgery on that shoulder too. It's expensive. It takes time. And there was a lot of fear. And I got one rep. And after that, I looked at the video after, and I could have for sure got 2, 3 more, maybe
mhm.
4 more. But I was just so timid to receive the dumbbell, and I kind of had a little breakdown after behind stage. And I mean, the girls were so awesome. Most of the girls came up and arms wide open, just held me and just kind of told me to shake it off. And they just stood by my side the whole entire time. And it was a good moment, even though it sucked at the same time. It was a good moment to know how many of the girls supported me.
Yeah, I don't really I get it, but I don't think you can take it as sucking when you press a 125-pound dumbbell on your opposite arm. You're
Yeah,
non like I get
I
it.
just
You're
have set,
competitive, but
yeah, I
but
just had set such a high expectation for I was like, maybe I can get 3 because,
mhm,
I mean, when I had surgery on my right, I literally had to take 2 to 3 months completely off of anything upper body because if you would do the dumbbell with your left shoulder, it makes your right shoulder move. And the
sure,
doctor proved to me why I can't do left-sided stuff at that time. So I listened. I mean, I'm stubborn, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you lose a lot of strength, and then all of a sudden you have like 2 months to start lifting a dumbbell again and strict pressing it, and then you have to figure out the technique of how to get this awkward, huge circus dumbbell to sit right on your shoulder. And I mean, I had done 3 or 4 in a minute at the gym, or at my home, but just come competition day, that fear just I feel like the fear just got me. It won that battle. I don't know, I was just so timid.
yeah, in a way, but not completely. I mean, in 2012, we had a 125-pound circus dumbbell for the lightweight men, and I think I won the event with 2.
Oh,
So,
geez.
so you know,
I mean, when you
you
put
could
it in that
you could take it
perspective,
however you
I
want,
mean,
and I competed with, I think I did 2 or 3, and I won the event, and Patrick Castelli was there, and he's gotten a lot better since, but that was like a high level thing, so you can
yeah.
however you want to take it, and it's just,
I'm trying to.
and
I just
I could
it's
definitely not
hard.
do it with
It's
my
hard
left
as an
that day.
athlete.
Yeah, no,
You went with your left?
I'm telling you, there's no way I would have been able to press it with my left then. Not at all.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I just didn't want to have that excuse. And I mean, when I was competing, hearing, "Oh, her shoulder injury," I mean, I was almost in tears before I got off the stage. It
yeah,
was just hard because I had so many supporters and so many people cheering for me. And then when I got one, I kind of felt like I let them down, even though I know I should be proud and content with what I got, but I just need to keep striving for more.
sure. Well, that's also why you won world championships with that attitude. That same one where you kind of beat yourself up is, why
Yeah.
you're not happy with second or however it ends up. But
Yeah.
I think it's a great accomplishment. As a fan, considering
Thank you.
everything. So then you end up with a deadlift, 500 pounds. It's probably roughly 13 inches or so. It was off tires. I didn't get to watch that event, just because I was trying, but there's a lot of strongman going on this weekend. So
Yeah, for sure.
how did that how did the deadlift go? Deadlifting's always fun.
The deadlift is normally hands down my favorite event. Going into this, again, I had to be extremely realistic with myself. I knew I had only pulled 455 in practice. And I mean, I only had, I think, a month and a half to deadlift heavy because he wanted me to wait as long as I could to let that surgery heal the best it could. So I knew that it was going to be a struggle. I ended up pulling three. Normally, I would have preferred to pull 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
And hands down, like that weight back a year ago, I could have pulled for 10, but that competition day, I did not pull that. I only had three, and I was pretty happy. I mean, I was very happy that I was able to pull it at all. So I was I was content. I'm definitely gonna get work on pulling 10 again rather than just three.
Sure.
So I have some work ahead of me, hands down.
Yeah, but it's I think considering it sounds like you have a very smart coach, because with coming off rehabbing from a surgery, the best thing you can do is get healthy, and give it
Hmm.
that time. So it was a smart strategy, and it seems to work. I think all in all, you did good. You're part of history. Had a fun weekend. And how did you end up placing overall? Was I don't want to speak out of turn, and I think it was fourth, but I'm not 100% on that.
Um, it was the way I ended up placing in fifth.
Okay. But yeah, it's I think it sounds like a great performance. I saw the videos, and everything you've accomplished so far, and surely gonna continue and get back on the podium in the those pro shows. So
Well, that's the goal.
yeah, of course, I'm sure you got to get back to work. I know you're very busy. So what is next? You're talking about going up to do the Canada show. What's that? Is that
The
North America?
Canada show.
Is that North America's Strongest
Yeah.
Woman?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for that one. I've never got to play with real stones in a competition, and I think we're going to have them
That's
and
crazy.
some new implements that I've never used. So I love events that I almost would prefer all events to be blind going into them because it's just kind of like that's the strongest of the strongest person, someone who can adapt right then and there and just go with it. So Canada, I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
So
But I'm hoping that I can do the one in Charlotte a month before.
okay. So when is the North America's Strongest Woman?
Is it? I think it's May 21st or May 20th, something.
Okay, so yeah, not too far off. I'm sure you
Yeah.
get back to training, and that is crazy how new to the sport you are, that you haven't had like actual stones in a contest yet, because you've just been doing the
Yeah.
like right when the Stone of Steel debuted to now has been when you've been competing. But
Yep.
uh, definitely be follow your training. If anyone wants to contact you for remote coaching or in person or just follow your training, what's the best way to do that? Get a hold of you. You got website, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Everything. I have Instagram people can reach me on, and then I have a website I'll be launching soon. It's just been hard to find the time to do it with working day and night.
Sure.
But then I also have my email is kimlawstrength@gmail.com, and that's where most of my remote clients will contact me.
Awesome. And it's strongwoman underscore Kimberly Lawrence on Instagram, and of course we put that all in the show description and everything if people want to get a hold of you. And also I think it's the same thing on Facebook as well. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of the Strong Talk podcast. Please support this show by going on iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast and leaving a 5-star rating and review. Of course, tell your friends and tell your enemies about the Strong Talk. Visit startingstrongman.com and all of our sponsors at startingstrongman.com/sponsors for exclusive savings like 10% off at kabukistrength.com. using the code SS10 for items like the shoulder rock and their Duffalo bar. Go to barbellapparel.com/startingstrongman and use the code startingstrongman for 10% off jeans that actually fit and make you almost look as good as I do. That's kidding. You probably look better. Really appreciate it. Go to amazon.startingstrongman.com. Use our affiliate link. We get a couple cents on the dollar. I wish it was a couple bucks on the dollar, and help support the show. And of course, follow all our guests and let them know how much you enjoyed listening to them talk about their training and sharing their story. And be sure to have a strong week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.